It's Tuesday, somewhere past noon, as I sit waiting for my flight home. Beside me, thick grey fog wraps around the nearby window and begins to distort the view outside, though not completely, just slightly. I glance out the window and see the outer world signalling back. It begins to feel really foreign to me. Looks like it's darkening, like it's existing and moving in brief, half-formed flashes. A lone jet that edges down a vast tarmac. Airport workers huddled together under a bright tarpaulin. Black and yellow birds flying beside heavy, expanding clouds. But then, this outer world vanishes entirely, falls to the fog. I see only a blanket of dark grey, and I'm transported back to the present moment, back to the sleepy, spacious lounge of Terminal 3. This part of the airport is brimming with passengers, busy employees, small shops. But it's not very bustling, not very cheerful. The weather outside can't be helping. An unusual silence carries through the terminal, gives everything this dreary, distant undercurrent, and makes it seem like we're all only half existing here, between states, somewhere else. An automated voice journeys through the terminal. 20 minutes until boarding. Flight 280, 20 minutes until boarding. The thought of going back home fills me with dread and frenzy. I remind myself that this is not something that I'm choosing, rather it's something that is choosing me. Random, unknown fate. More monotone voices carry through the airport, telling of other flights to come. Heavy luggage rolls across marble ground. Some passengers speed through the space, others just dwindle through, slowly, distantly. The unusual silence continues, grows. My gate is pretty calm and quiet, just a few people milling about, around 10 or so. A pilot stands by the front desk, talking to a female employee, both drinking coffee. I see a young father carrying a child in his arms, and a young mother sits nearby them, grim and seeming to be done with it all. There's an old guy in a tracksuit. He reeks of cigarettes and looks lost and angry, as though someone he knows just conned him. Perhaps they did. There's teenagers in hockey uniforms. They're quietly laughing about something. Two girls move closer to the gate, check their boarding passes, and then take a seat. Though none of this quite catches my attention. Rather, it's this flat feeling, a sense of numbness that reaches me, an intense numbness that sets across the whole terminal, moves in lockstep with the unusual silence. I can sense it enlarging around us. I feel uncomfortable and disoriented, so I stand up. My mouth is overbearingly dry, and bottled water isn't doing the job, so I lift up my Saratoga travel bag, perch it to its side, unlock the handle, extending it outward. I set off to grab a drink from somewhere around the terminal, anywhere. I hurry onward, scraping my luggage across the ground, readjusting my earphones. I move by a cafe, pass a couple of other gates filled with waiting passengers. Then I move by some kind of donut joint. Up ahead, to my right, I spot the dusted brown sign of a gift shop. I step inside to find your usual airport shop. A counter, small rows of food and drink, tourist stuff like snow globes. But there's something else about the place that perplexes me. It's a tiny bare space painted in dull, unmemorable swashes of beige and brown. It feels vintage, but not in any way that would induce nostalgia. Instead, it just seems painfully old and dated. The couple who work behind the counter are old, white-haired, and for some odd reason, they both grin as they see me. It freaks me out, but I figure that maybe they just love their job, and I'm the first customer they've had in some time. Unsettled, I move toward a small fridge and eye a bottle of blue Gatorade. As I walk, I grab the black Wayfarers that hang off of my shirt and place them on the top of my head. I don't know why I do this. I don't need to. I just do it. I remember a friend telling me that Noam Chomsky says when you raise your finger and point it up in the air, that the decision to do so was made in your brain 2 seconds before you thought you decided to do so. Now, I don't know what this means. I don't know what Chomsky was trying to say. I just know that I haven't ever forgotten hearing it, that it stays somewhere in my head, traversing through the spots up there. I grab the Gatorade and wander over to the counter, my footsteps piercing through the odd, dated environment. The old woman behind the counter just glares at me, still grinning. The old man too, though now he's pointing right at me. I mumble haltingly, passing him the Gatorade to scan. Just this one, I say in a low, flat voice. The old guy scans it, still pointing. It's this strange, overwhelming moment. I don't know where to look, what to do, how to get out of this gift shop, how to get out of this weird moment that I'm suspended in.
Hey, bud, I like your sunglasses.
The old guy says in a quote-strained voice. He lowers his finger now, but this only slightly eases my tension.
I like your sunglasses too,
the old woman says. I don't know how to reply, so I just don't. I scan my card and wait for it to go through, pray that the machine will quickly accept, that I can move the fuck away from whatever this dreadful interaction was.
We said we like your sunglasses, bud,
the old man says firmly, with caution. The old woman furrows her brow. They seem offended. They like my sunglasses? The wayfarers perched on my head that they can barely even see? I don't know how to react, how to leave this moment. The old guy looks away now, disgruntled. He avoids eye contact. The old woman just blankly stares at me. My card still doesn't go through, is still loading. Somehow, I only just notice that they're wearing matching t-shirts, large, overflowing black tees with an image of Prince Charles and Camilla printed on them. Neon blue text is sprawled across and reads, "Future King and Queen, long may you run." What the fuck? It's the only thought I can muster at this moment. What the fuck? I can't stop looking at the matching shirts. Prince Charles and Camilla? The phrase, "Future King and Queen, long may you run?" It all confuses me. It all terrifies me. Thanks, I like your shirts, I guess, I say to them, unconvincingly. They begin to smile again. I think that this whole time, they were just waiting for me to compliment their odd Charles and Camilla shirts. A quid pro quo kind of thing.
Thanks, bud,
they say in unison, visibly elated. A miracle arrives as my card finally scans, is finally accepted. I take the Gatorade and burst out of the shop, racing back to my seat at the gate, fleeing the depraved scene of the freakish old couple and their royal family merge. I return to my seat and the area is still unusually silent, still tainted with a rising numbness. My phone dings and a text appears. I see who it's from and just leave it, place it back into my pocket. Then I think I see a famous footy player walk by, one of the ones who won a Brownlow. I can't be so sure though, because I don't really even follow footy. He walks by with a girl, and I peek over at them, blankly ignoring another announcement from the monotone voice. I turn away, sip some more Gatorade, check my phone again, but it loses signal. Then I spot a flight attendant walk by from an arriving flight. She looks sadder than the others in her group. I wonder what it is that's eating away at her, but realize I'll never find out. Nearby, the old guy in the tracksuit looks at me, like he might know me, studies me. Then something flashes in his eyes, perhaps the confirmation that he doesn't know me at all, because he instantly relaxes, turns away casually, nonchalantly. I become a stranger again. Sitting there in the numbness of the terminal, my mind starts to drift, and I allow the thoughts to follow, one after the other. I think back to this trip I took one time, with some friends who were also travelers. We boarded a bus for a faraway city, and moved down big dark roads, brightened only by the brief flashes of multicolored light. I think about a girl I once met in Las Vegas, this really bright, really beautiful college student. I remember that her dark blonde hair was cut just past her shoulders, and that she wore a fancy black dress. I remember that I just had to talk to her. She told me that she was the only child of lawyers from DC, high-powered Washington types, and that she spent half the year studying in the States and the other half at an international college in Paris. I told her how exciting and the life that must be, but she just shrugged and looked down, engulfed by a sense of unfulfillment and tinged with a semi-sadness. She said that it wasn't so bad, but that even still, she longed for something larger, that she dreamt of one day getting the grades to go to Harvard, because it was a place where the snow swallowed up the ancient brick buildings. Then I think about my own family, some time ago, all of us gathered around a crowded dinner table. There's plates of roast chicken and corn, a pot of Caesar salad. We sit in complete silence. It's a few days into the new year. Forgotten Christmas decorations still adorn the house, and the living room is only faintly lit by the dimmed light above us. I think somebody goes to say something, clears their throat maybe, but they stop, hesitate. In my mind, the way I picture it, the lights grow even dimmer. But then, all these memories start to blur, crash and fall one after the other, and sink somewhere into the numbness of the terminal. The monotone voice returns, announces that it's time to board Flight 280. The other people at the gate stand now, start to form lines. After a couple seconds, I get up, grab a hold of my bag, and just look around the place one last time. I spot the fogged window from before, only now all the terminal windows are covered in the dark grey fog. I imagine all that exists outside the glass, beyond the fog, entire worlds I can't see, that I won't get to see. I pull out my passport and move toward the long, winding line that forms by the gate. I halt briefly, then step forward into the line, disappearing.